All right, thank you for pushing play on today's video. In my last video, I shared a little bit of Amanda's story. She is a 40-something-year-old mother. She has young kids of sports addicts, essentially, and they're just running around all over the place all the time. And like many women in her age group, she had seen her weight start to creep up in her late 30s, early 40s. And talking with her doctor, they're just like, okay, this is pretty much the deal when you hit perimenopause. So expect the weight gain, expect some changes to happen, and just deal, right? So she wasn't ready to accept that. She was very frustrated with this diagnosis and just wasn't ready to accept the fact that she was never going to get to her ideal weight. Okay. And the problem with that too is she already felt like she had tried everything. She felt like she had done everything to try to figure this out. And that losing weight at this stage would require so much time, so much effort that she didn't have, that it just wasn't feasible at this state. Right. So when she came to work with me, she explained all this. And basically, I presented her with a simple mindset shift. Right. She felt like she was very stuck. And so, in order to move forward, we got to get rid of some of these mental blocks. So, this mindset shift, that big success can come from very small changes and small shifts in your life, right? This idea that change doesn't have to be huge. Dieting and health lifestyle changes don't need to take over your life, they can complement it instead. And honestly, at this time, that was all she could really manage. She didn't have all the time in the world. She didn't have a lot of mental energy left in the day. So it had to be simple anyway. Okay. After a few months of working with this shift, she was down a couple pant sizes. She was fitting into jeans that she hadn't fit into in years. And she honestly just felt like she had control back. She had control over her health destiny, and she knew how to work with her weight. She saw things happening. She knew why. And so she just felt more in control of the situation. So this mindset shift only means something if you can put action in front of it. Okay. I'm Jackie Durand. I'm a registered dietitian here at JD Nutrition LLC, and I've been helping women in Amanda's scenario do just that for 7 years now, since 2018. And so we're talking about small, impactful changes, taking back that control of health and wellness so that you can live your best life. Okay. Now, today, let's get a little concrete. Let me show you what we did with Amanda, one of the small shifts that really helped impact her success and really made this possible for her. So what you have on your screen here is the balanced plate method. One single image can make a huge difference. And if you are already a client of mine, you have this burned in your retina. I just know it. Okay. So this plate is essentially the ADA's, or my version of the ADA's My Plate guideline. So it may look kind of similar to that, but the idea is simple here. So half of the plate, anytime you're eating, should be some sort of non-starchy vegetable. Okay. And the reason for that is because these things tend to be naturally a little bit lower in calorie. And so if you are trying to lose weight and get into a calorie deficit, filling up on these can really be a good idea. Plus, they have lots of nutrition, vitamins and minerals that you're probably not getting on a regular basis as well. Okay. Now, on the other half of the plate, we have the carb section and we have the protein section. So proteins, any sort of meat proteins that you might eat, eggs, dairy products like milk, could be any vegetarian protein that you have in there as well. Carbs pretty much go without saying. I think we all know it falls into that category, but things like bread, rice, pasta, cereal, that kind of stuff. And you may even be surprised to see it on this, right? Because how can you lose weight and be eating that many carbs, right? If you love carbs, this is the way to put them in. And maybe this seems complicated to you at this point. We're going to actually make it very simple for you, so stay tuned for that. But what I asked Amanda to do with this information is use it for the meals that she was already cooking. Okay, so she was already cooking for her family. She had a roster of meals that she knew how to put together quickly, easily, that fit within the schedule. And I simply asked her to use this to plate what she was making a little bit differently than her norm and follow the proportions. Okay. So at our first meeting with this, we went through some options for doing that. So she got some ideas ready. So what she did first for breakfast, she used to do like a big bowl of the sugary cereal just to have something to get her day started, snacked on it basically while she was making the kids' lunches in the morning and stuff. And what we did was we shrunk the size of the bowl and fit it into this carb category. And then I asked her to fill in the blanks for the protein and the veggies. Okay. So she decided to do some frozen egg bites that had some veggies in there. She also did up some cut up fruit to sort of fill in for the veggie section, because veggies aren't easy to get first thing in the morning for some people, me included. I usually opt more for fruit in that scenario as well. Let's see, lunch. She was used to doing the standard diet salad, which is romaine lettuce and some sort of protein, usually chicken breast, and that's about it. And she was honestly a little bit scared to put the carb in here as well. She was like, how the heck can I lose weight and include carbs here? Like, that's just not going to work. Okay. So I challenged her to try this anyway. And so we added at first a handful of beans to her normal salad. So this served as the carb, but it also added in some awesome fiber and some extra protein in there, which helped her feel really full and satisfied after her meal. After a little bit with that, we also implemented a sandwich, which she was like, oh my God, this is unheard of. How can I eat bread here? But we just made sure that it had enough protein to really get the balance that we're talking about here. And then she had alongside of that some baby carrots or celery sticks, or cherry tomatoes is another easy one that you can just grab and go for a veggie on the side. Okay. Now, for dinner, she'd allow herself to have the kids' chicken nuggets and the mac and cheese and the quick, easy kid meals, things that kids will eat no matter what. She felt a little guilty about it, but she had a hefty serving of veggies with it. She made sure that the mac and cheese and the nuggets fit into those little squares in this category here. And ultimately, she was happy with it. She didn't feel like she was overstuffed, because usually she would just stand at the stove and eat the rest of whatever the mac and cheese was, shove a few nuggets in her face before they were going off to sports practice, all that kind of stuff. And so it just felt much more in control, more purposeful, and more energizing than it had in the past. Okay. So as I mentioned, she was a little skeptical about these changes, but we did put them into place. But there were some mindset things that came up along the way as well. And that basically came in the form of excuses of self-sabotage, which is basically mindset version number 2 that we're going to talk about today. In that sometimes when we're faced with making bigger changes, it can be really scary to try, because ultimately trying could lead to failure. And for most people who have dieted in the past, dieting equals failure, right? If you're still listening at this point, most likely you fall in that category. And that sucks. Sorry about that. But here's the thing. If you come up with excuses for getting started, it saves you from hitting that failure point. If you never start, you can't fail. Okay. So hers were, I don't have time to make an omelet in the morning. Fair. Let's see what else she had. Too much carb for her salad in the afternoon. She wanted specific meals set up for dinner time so that she could say, all right, well, that ingredient is too expensive. The kids are never going to eat that. It takes too much time. Like all these other excuses that could potentially come up, so that it would excuse her from starting something. And she was motivated, right? She wanted something to change, but sometimes these little things get going in your head, and that becomes an obstacle for you as well. Okay. So we'll talk about that a little bit more another day. But essentially, she did these things, and she was really interested in what she found. So first off was her energy level shifted tremendously during the day. So having a bigger breakfast and having that protein there gave her more energy and kept her more satisfied throughout her morning. So usually that bowl of cereal would last with her for about an hour. And then she would basically try to just keep herself busy until lunch, when she felt like she could eat. Okay. And then same thing for the afternoon. So imagine going through your morning feeling like you need to stop yourself from eating. You're going to be so ravenous by lunchtime that simple salad with chicken is not going to do it for you. And then you're going to play out that same routine for the afternoon. You're going to be tired. You're going to be looking for carbs. You're going to be trying to keep yourself away from the sweets, all of these other things. This is exactly what Amanda was doing. And adding that carb to her lunch leveled her out once again for the afternoon. So she could stay focused on what she was supposed to be doing. She wasn't thinking about food all the time. She could arrive around dinner time feeling a little bit more in control and relaxed with her hunger. She would have some snacks during the afternoon as well. That's not off limits. So we will say that that's a topic for another day. But essentially, she didn't think that dieting could be this easy in terms of she felt like she had to be restricted and felt like she was hungry in order to be making progress. She had done that so many times before. It didn't feel possible that it could be done this way as well. But look at her now. 3 months later, she is down 2 dress sizes. Her pants that she didn't fit in even pre-pregnancy are fitting her now. Her cholesterol is back in check. She's no longer pre-diabetic. Her doctor is wondering what the heck she did to do that, right? These are great results, okay? Now, I want you to find success with this plating method as well, because this was such a big tool in her arsenal. So I do have a download link for this graphic and then the food list that come along with this to show you what generally goes in each of the categories. So that way, when you're thinking about the foods that you're making, you can say, all right, like my pasta with meat sauce that I usually do fits in here. All I need to do is really add a veggie, and it just becomes a little bit simpler to use that as well, okay? I challenge you to use this at your next meal. Why? Because I don't want you adding anything to the grocery list. I don't want you rearranging and looking for new recipes online. I want you to use this with whatever you're already cooking and just see what kind of a difference that can make, okay? Now, the key to Amanda's success wasn't simply this one shift. As you can imagine, it's very impactful nonetheless, but this was one change among many that I did actually coach her through. So I'm going to be making another video soon, and I want you to keep an eye out for it because I'm going to show you the whole process that I use. So rather than taking this teeny little tip that, yes, was very impactful, I want to show you the big picture, whole process, what we did with Amanda, so you can hopefully have the same success in your life. Remember that she struggled with the doing of things with her busy schedule and the way that things were already for her right now. So having these little tips in here can still feel really overwhelming. It may make sense to you to do these things and it may seem helpful, but unless you know how to actually implement it into your daily life, it can still be really overwhelming and it's really difficult to be consistent, okay? So, like I said, I'm going to make another video soon outlining all of that stuff. So keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, I would love to see you experiment with this plating method. Try it at your next meal and then hit reply on this email. Let me know what shifts you noticed. That's all for now. See ya.